Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Xeno, the personification of a cry for help, and we are finally back with more promises to keep. This time it is Artemis' route, Day 4 edition. Now, we can all expect what to expect with Day 4. Despite the different love interests, it's going to be the same thing again. We're going to help Theo try to convince the Robinsons to let Diana into their home, and then we're going to try and rescue Diana, all the while have some deep internal conflict between our love interests. I know we had Rofi, we have Hunter, we had Theo, although maybe it'll be different this time, who knows? Although I feel like we're going to be doing the same song and dance, you know. Well, anyway, let's get started, shall we? I forgot which one is Artemis. So, last we left off on, I have no clue. Listen, it has been over a year since we played Artemis' route, okay? It's been a year, and it's been a lot. But what I do know is that we did get to listen to his backstory. He didn't have a good life. He was with the wrong type of people and everything. But maybe we're going to get more into that in this next Dream Secrets. Maybe we're going to get that one creepy guy again. I forgot his name. Not that I care to know his name, because, you know, he's a creep. But yeah, let's continue onward, shall we? Ooh. The ambience. Hello, Moon. Am I supposed to click on something? You never learn, do you? I never learned what? Oh! It's a... Oh! Oh, it's that one creep! And it looks like he's got Artemis. And turns to Leo. Is Artemis afraid of predator-type animals? Or is he just afraid that we're gonna be doing the same thing as that one guy did? Slowly morphing back to that one guy. Interesting. Okay, don't look at me like that. Don't. And get him out of your mouth, bitch! Jeez. You can see the blood dripping on the way. Oh. Is Artemis afraid that Leo's gonna be like that? Or is Artemis just afraid of getting close to someone in general? Artemis, what'd you deal, dude? What makes you think this time will be different? Kind of further proves my thoughts. Oh. He's panicking. He's having like a panic attack. Is this Leo or is this Artemis? My body lurches up right before I realize I'm awake. The room around me swimming into blurred, blotchy focus. I sway, feeling strangely weightless. As if I were dangling from a high-up ledge. Caught. Hanging. Suspended between earth and sky. Blood pounds in my ears, frightened and insistent, and its metallic taste coats my tongue. Whose blood? Whose blood is it? It's Artemis? Trembling slightly, I search my mouth with a questioning paw, hisn't at the sharp jolt of pain. I bit my tongue during the night and bled a little. That's all it was. Really, that's all it was. Then, what is this feeling? This uncanny electricity in the air, this miasmic tension, the silence, devoid even a breath. The world has reformed, but the nightmare still lingers. Draped over me like a blanket of snow, like a veil, like... I feel eyes on the back of my head. I feel them born into me as I sit, hunched over in the darkness. I snake my neck around, scan the room for their source. Oh, shit! Boy! A pair of fearful avian eyes coming through the blackness. They dart away from me, around the room, and then back. He almost looks like a mannequin. Face locked in a strange grimace, features stretched tight over his skull. Artemis? My voice rasps hoarsely. I taste iron yet again. The bird lies perfectly still, bound tightly from the head down in the nest of blankets. Like a fresh mound of dirt before a grave. I climb stiffly and silently to my paws. Somehow it seems wrong to break the stillness. To move too quickly or speak too loud. Artemis? I start to walk towards him. He won't move. He won't answer. He just stares. He just stares at me. My skin crawls. My fur seems to ripple, hackles rising, hair standing on end. Why is he looking at me like that? What did I do? What did I do? I reach out a paw to touch his shoulder to make some kind of contact. Bad idea, dude. To convince myself that he is real, and that this is not just a dream. Just millimeters away, a static spark jumps in between us, a bright, brilliant flash in the dry basement air, and he lurches into frantic motion. With a sharp intake of breath and a straight flailing of limbs, Artemis throws himself off the couch and scrambles away from me across the floor. He backs up against the basement stairs and wraps an arm tightly around the banister. His eyes never leave me, the only light in the darkness. Light. I hurry to the wall switch and flip it on. Oh, wow. Artemis, it's okay. It's okay, it's just me. I start towards him again, and he recoils, blinking from the sudden flash. Are you alright? What's going on? Those eyes flip back to me, and something in them changes, settles. I see recognition, where before there was only fear. Oh, God. Artemis buries his head in his claws. The spell seems to have broken, and now he can't stop moving. Every inch of his feathery frame shakes and shivers, rattling even the solid wooden banister. In that moment, I want, more than anything in the world, to scoop him up, to pull him into my arms and hold him until the shaking stops. I want to close that distance between us. Artemis, at least tell me you're okay. Just the sound of weighty breaths, as if he had just run a marathon. I take a small step forward. Come on, please. Shivering stutters, faded into silence. I can't help you if you don't tell me what's wrong. Just give me a fucking second! He snaps, the banister creaking as he pulls it tighter. Just stay right there! Please. My stomach clenches and I swallow a bitter retort. Just stay right there. As if I was planning to hurt him. As if I'd been anything but kind and considerate to him over the past few days. As if our moment on the porch last night meant nothing. Well, you see, that's how trauma works. Okay? I wish some people would get that. I don't know what I did. I can't fix it if I don't know. You didn't do anything. He snaps again, his tone and his words in complete opposition to one another. Then why? I step forward again. And again he recoils. Dude, just stop. His eyes keep flicking to his discarded hat, lying on the floor just out of reach. Like he wants to grab it, but is scared to make any sudden moves. If I didn't do anything, then why are you looking at me like that? Please, Artemis, just tell me what's going on. I know how my brain works. I'm not gonna stop thinking about this until you tell me. Stop pushing me! He snarls, his beak clacking sharply with each consonant. I already said you didn't do anything. Why can't you just take that and leave me alone? Because, just look at yourself. You're obviously not okay. What do I have to say to convince you that I just want to help? You're my friends, and I care about you, and... One more slow step forward. Dude, you gotta stop doing that. You gotta stop doing that. You gotta stop doing that. You need to stay until he calms down. Okay? Oh my god, put your ego aside and fucking assess the situation. Damn! One step too many. Like lightning, he bolts forward, snatches his hat, and rushes up the basement stairs. Without even a shadow of thought, I give chase, following the trail of frantic footsteps. Dude! Okay. Okay. Leo, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? You had to let him calm down first before he could even speak! Oh my god! Shit. Leo's irritating me right now, y'all. I take the stairs 2 at a time and emerge into the living room, just as a flash of wind vanishes into the kitchen. Oh, Theo's there, by the way. I followed closely behind and... I stopped dead in my tracks. Theo is sitting in his usual spot at the worn kitchen table. His presence shocks me far more than it should. As if he had opened a door into my dream and stepped inside unannounced. From the look of him, Artemis was just as surprised as I am. The fox is tapping aggressively at his phone, eyebrows furrowed, a full mug of coffee getting cold in front of him. He flicks his eyes up at the two of us in a brief hello before falling back to his phone screen. Somehow he seems not to notice the state we're in. No comment on our frantic entrance either. Something must be wrong. With no small amount of effort, I reorient myself, pushing the dream out of my mind. I clear my dusty throat and try again. Morning, Theo. Everything alright? Artemis still won't look directly at me. I can see the gears in his head turning. I can see his intense effort to appear nonchalant. I don't think he's succeeding. He keeps smoothing his hat with a shaky claw, as if keeping it in place will keep him calm. I turn my gaze back to Theo, busy staring daggers at his phone. The fox's presence is probably a good thing, despite his obvious bad mood. If I start up a conversation, maybe I could get Artemis to relax or open up. Or at least stop running. If something is wrong, you tell me, right? I direct my question to the room at large, but keep my eyes on Theo. If there's anything I could do to help. Diana, the old you in number 27, is still in her apartment. She hasn't had power for days. Oh. I had hoped it was something a bit more mundane. This sounds very serious. The room falls silent again, save for Theo's frenzied tapping. Though his voice, while little I've heard of it, is flat and controlled, his entire body is tense, like a rubber band pulled taut. Maybe this is what he's usually like, and the cheerful veneer I've grown used to has been a facade. Maybe that's true for both of them. Seems like it's up to me to drive the conversation here. Not usually my forte. Are you talking to her now? No. If she even has a cell phone, it would be dead by now. I'm talking to the fucking Robinsons in number 30. The venom in his voice is surprising. I see Artemis flinch slightly and lean up against the counter to try to cover it. Are they... Across the street from her, yes. Another long moment of silence. Theo breaks it by setting his phone firmly down on the table, face down. He looks right into my eyes, and suddenly I see the barely contained fury, the panic, seemingly mere moments from breaking loose. They won't agree to let her stay with them. That woman is almost 90 years old. She is tiny and real thin. If she stays in that house much longer, it's gonna kill her. Great response, so useful. Maybe we could go over to check on her, see if she's okay? She's not. I went over there earlier today and banged on the door and all the windows until she answered. She said she wasn't leaving the house until she knew she had somewhere else to go. Only now do I notice the coat draped over the back of his chair, the melted snow still clinging to his fur in patches. How long has he been awake? When I don't immediately reply, he snatches up his phone again and resumes tapping with renewed ferocity. Think, Leo, you've got to say something. Why did this have to happen today? I am not at all prepared to handle this kind of situation right now. I had just gotten out of bed and it already feels like I've been awake for days. My head is spinning so fast I can barely hold onto a thought. Why don't you call them? Artemis finally speaks, his voice shaky but combative. Put this asshole on speaker and I'll give him a piece of my fucking mind. Theo shakes his head jerkily, his annoyance clearly growing. No, yelling at him won't do anything. Says who? Sounds like this lady's gonna fucking die. Seems pretty goddamn clear what the right thing to do is. He'll be lucky if yelling is all I do. No. Theo repeats. The volume of his voice is rising, the tone sharpening to a lethal point. I know Tom Robinson. I know what kind of person he is. That will only make him double down. In fact, that's exactly what he's waiting for. The moment anyone starts shouting at him, he'll take it as proof that he was right all along. Theo begins to tap his foot loudly on the floor, with such force that the table begins to shiver slightly. Artemis stops, winds fluttering audibly against the counter behind him. This is starting to look an awful lot like yesterday morning. The moment that thought crosses my mind, my heartbeat takes off. I don't think I can handle another fight. Well, what if we brought her here? They both turn to look at me, and I immediately regret everything. I don't want to invite people to your house without your permission, but... Theo raises a paw and cuts me off sharply. You two don't understand. I physically shrink. My shoulders fall. My eyes hit the floor. Even my tail droops. Artemis, by contrast, puffs up, incensed. Even on her best day, I'm not sure we could get her up the street. Not with this much snow. And she's been sitting in that fucking house for 3 days! He's shouting now. The Robinsons live across the goddamn street! Given her condition, it will be a miracle if we can even get her there! And they won't open the fucking door! Okay, so what? What are you yelling at us for? I'm not yelling at you! Theo yells. Not again. Not the same shit again. You're gonna wake up the whole house. Artemis laughs out loud. An exasperated, sardonic burst of sound. Are we gonna go around in circles like this forever? Or are we gonna address the actual fucking problem at hand? He points with a hooked talon at the phone lying face down on the table. I'm serious, Theo. Dial that number right now. Theo takes a moment to breathe, crossing his arms tightly over his chest, as if to hold back the anger. Did you not listen to what I said? I had to stop this. There must be something I can do to stop this. Yeah, I heard what I needed to hear. This Tom's a shithead and a moron, and he needs to be set straight. I told you, that won't work. He won't. You just don't want to do it, huh? You don't want to talk to him? Why not? Some old baggage, some sob story? Artemis, chill the fuck out. You need to chill the fuck out, dude. What? You... Theo splutters and stammers, clearly taken aback. No, that's not... If you think I'm gonna let this old bag die just because... Will the both of you just stop?! They both turn to me again, this time in shock. I just can't hold it in anymore. I am not going to let him slip into another pointless squabble, not 2 days in a row. For fuck's sake! This isn't helping! Theo's gaze drops into his ice-cold coffee. Artemis draws his wings around himself and looks away. The room is very silent now. The kind of silence that only makes itself known after shattering noise. Look, I'm sorry. The words pour out of me like water through a broken dam. But you have to stop doing this. My eyes drift towards Artemis. I don't want to look anywhere else. A branch in a broken window is one thing. This situation right now is life and death. You are correct, of course. Theo mutters quietly, eyes still downcast. I apologize to both of you for losing my temper. Well, Artemis, are you going to apologize too? Because that was uncalled for. To be perfectly honest, I very much do not want to talk to Tom. He has a way of dragging this anger out of me. Then let's do it together. Theo's gaze flicks upward to me, then to Artemis, then back to me. The message in his eyes is crystal clear. Are you sure that's a good idea? If we work together, I'm sure the three of us can convince him. That didn't sound quite so cheesy in my head. Artemis snorts softly. Very softly, but it's enough to make my heart soar. I'm starting to break through. Theo looks down at his phone, then back to me. With a shaky paw, he slides the phone over to me. A phone number for our Tom Robinson front and center on the screen. We all sit there in silence for a moment, before I realize that they're waiting for me to press the call button. Okay, I'm going for it. I say aloud, to no one in particular. The phone rings, and then... Yes! A gruff male voice, halfway to angry already. The room is silent again. Hello? Fuck, Leo, you're leading this, come on. I force my mouth open. Good morning. Mr. Robinson, correct? Who is this? This is Leo. I'm one of your neighbors. I'm here with Artemis, another neighbor, and Theo, who, I know you've been talking with. Artemis looks away, beak clamped shut. Theo stares down at his cold coffee. Thanks for the help, you two. It's, nice to meet you, even if it's just over the phone. Likewise. His tone says otherwise. So, I take a deep breath and get down to business. The old woman in number 27. Silence. I know you and Theo have been talking about her situation? We have, yes. Grudging, non-committal, approaching annoyed. All right then, great. We are, of course, very concerned for her. A 90-year-old woman alone in a freezing cold house without... She's 87. He interrupts. An 87-year-old woman alone in a freezing cold house without help or power. We are genuinely concerned she won't make it through the storm. Silence. Mr. Robinson, are you still there? Yes, of course I am. I'm waiting for you to get to the point. What a bitch! Artemis begins to pace around the kitchen, arms tightly crossed. We are asking you, as friends and neighbors, if you could let her stay at your house for a few days. At least until the storm clears up and the power comes back on. I just don't see why that's necessary. I look up at Theo, incredulous. He shakes his head, massaging his temples and clearly holding back grim laughter. You don't, huh? Artemis steps up to the table. You don't see why getting her out of the cold might be a good idea? Can't connect those dots? Who exactly am I speaking with? No one I recognize. Tom's response is snobbish, but smug. Can't connect those dots either? Okay. Mr. Robinson, all of us here are extremely worried. Artemis glares at me, and I pretend not to notice. But I definitely notice. Clearly. Injustifiably. As I said previously, we are worried she won't survive the storm. She's lived in that apartment for decades and never had any problems. Yes, but she's never been 87 years old before. Have you ever even met Diana? No, I haven't, but I don't see how... She is the most stubborn woman I have ever seen in my long life. Hell will freeze over before she does. I guarantee you she doesn't want your help. Whether she wants it is besides the question, Tom. Theo speaks up, graciously taking the baton from me. I stifle a sigh of relief. I spoke with her earlier today. She's lost even more weight since I saw her in October, and she was shivering and swaying like a reed. The most recent weather update said the storm would let up by the end of the week, but every forecast so far has been wrong. Most of the city is still on total lockdown, and there's been no word from the mayor about snowplows, let alone electrical repair. We've most likely got 4, maybe 5 days completely snowed in, and it could be another week before people get their power back. Quite honestly, Tom, I don't think she'll last another 2 days. That's your medical diagnosis, eh? Tom, if you'd like to come and see her yourself, I'd be happy to escort you across the street for a visit. Theo bites right back, a keen edge now plain in his voice. It's not a long walk, after all. There's no need for that sort of tone, Theodore, especially now when asking someone a big favor. What I don't understand... Artemis cuts in, placing both palms down on the table and staring daggers at the phone. Is why we are still having this conversation. Let me ask you plain and simple. Do you want her to die? Now, what kind of question is that? Answer me. This is ridiculous. We're in agreement there. I'm going to do you a big favor here and assume you actually care about this woman's life. Why, then, are you waffling and arguing and wasting our time? He's not wrong. Theo seems to be having the same thought. Now listen here, whoever you are. I am the only one whose time is being wasted. What? How can we make this work? I blurt out, desperate to keep the conversation on track. We're trying to save her life, after all. We're more than willing to put in the work for it. What needs doing before you can take her in? Prim silence, and then, quite honestly, I don't see why I should agree to any of this. I mean, really. You drag me out of bed in the middle of the night, pester me with messages, berate me over the phone. You've hardly let me get a word in edgewise. Clearly, neither my opinion nor my assistance is very valuable to you. So, I don't see why you can't manage without me. Mr. Robinson, Artemis slams a fist on the kitchen table and shoves his beak right up to the phone. This is not going well, y'all. What if this actually ends with us taking Diana into our home? Even though Thea says she might not make it with this much snow. I don't know. Who knows? Are you fucking serious? Are you for real right now? How could you possibly? All of a sudden, his eyes flick to me, and lightning jumps between us. In that moment, I see him pull back. He raises his claws in a defeated gesture, turns on his heel, and stomps out of the kitchen and into the living room. Maybe that's for the best, honestly. Tom. Theo cuts through the resulting quiet, his voice full of static. We're in shambles over here. You know that I would bring her to my house in a heartbeat, but you haven't seen her. She looks like death, Tom. She looks like half a ghost already. I don't know how else to say it. If you don't get her out of there, she will die. And I'm worried that... His voice catches. If I try to bring her here, I'm worried she'll die in my arms, Tom. Silence. Was that really not convincing enough? We'll do all the work. I announce, at my wit's end and not really considering what I was promising. We'll do the transfer. We'll do all the shuffling. We've got a medical professional on hand if she needs help. We can supply food and toiletries and whatever else is needed. Please, all you have to do is open the door for us. Theo purses his lips, but doesn't argue. I still think you are exaggerating the situation. But all right. I'm not happy about the way you've treated me, but I will assist. Because it's the right thing to do. And it took so much to convince you. Fucking asshole. Now it's my turn to rise from my chair and pace around the kitchen. Suddenly he's the magnanimous hero, spurned and insulted, but ready to do good regardless. Now that we offer to do literally all of the work. I'll have my wife start tidying up. I hiss slightly through my teeth. We'll be ready for you shortly, so don't keep us waiting. Wouldn't dream of it. Theo ends the call with far more force than is necessary, and exhales a huge breath, leaning his elbows on the table. Dear God in heaven. What an insufferable shithead. You don't know the half of it. He must have been in a good mood. I won't lie to you, I am emaciated greed. He lowers his voice. Especially after. He points silently to the living room. I shuffle my paws. I should go talk to him. Theo nods absently. I should wake the others. We need all hands on deck for this one. He rises mechanically from his chair, grabbing his winter coat. He hesitates slightly, as if making a decision. I'll try to give you two a few extra minutes, but we don't really have time to waste. I know. I replied glumly. The fox pads over to me and places a reassuring paw on my shoulder. Thank you for your help, Leo. You were level-headed and practical. Far more useless than I was. You're giving me way too much credit. I don't think I am. Go on. I'll head upstairs. I find Artemis in one of the chairs by the front window, sitting stiff and hunchbacked. He seems to be muttering something under his breath, something too quiet for me to catch. Now feels like a bad time to interrupt him. But will there be a good time? It's done, with Theo's day and the others. His muttering stops. He turns toward me and nods, looking just off to my side. Yeah, I saw him go up. Fuck that guy. Tom? Yeah, he's such shit. Mind if I take a seat? I gesture to the empty chair next to him. Go ahead. His answer is quick, without much hesitation, but I can hear the tension thrumming just beneath its surface. I settle into the plush cushions and eye him up and down. He's still shaking, ever so slightly. I agreed with everything you said, by the way. Just wanted to make that abundantly clear. I pause, choosing my words carefully. I didn't think that was the best way to convince him. Theo had said he wouldn't respond well to anger or threats, so... I trail off, nervously, shifting aimlessly in my chair. Come on, please just work with me here. Anxiety takes hold, my sudden burst of anger and confidence completely spent. The fight and that horrible phone call drained it out of me. After a crushingly heavy pause, Artemis lets out a tight sigh and responds. I wasn't helping. I realize that. But these kinds of situations just piss me off. Some of that same fire creeps back into his voice. The morally correct option here is so obvious and so easy. He barely even has to do anything. I decide not to mention that I had volunteered us to do all the work. That will become obvious soon enough. Yeah, I get what you mean, but I guess not everybody can be as good a person as Theo, you know? Yes, they can. He looks directly at me. They just choose not to be. I don't really have a response to that. It's not like I'm that great a person after all. And this situation is so open and shut, it's ridiculous. He is so demonstrably in the wrong. Even an idiot could see that. People like him piss me off. They make me so unbelievably furious. Beyond all reason. He clenches his talons so tightly that I'm afraid he'll break the skin. I can't control myself. I get loud. I get mean. It's a good fucking thing he wasn't in the room with us, or I would have straight up attacked him. But we need this house, so I can't just do that. And that drives me crazy. He sharply enunciates the last 3 words, dropping each syllable like a stone. It makes me feel insane. that instead of punching him in the face, we're kissing his smug ass. Like, that's completely backwards. It shouldn't be that way. And when I think about the fact that... He lets out a terse, shaky laugh. Shit like this is happening everywhere, every day, all over the world. Good people are sucking up to absolute monsters, begging them for the smallest of scraps. And they still shake their heads and turn away. Even nothing is too much to give. It blows my fucking mind that he had the audacity to even suggest that we were wasting his time. With a hitch of breath, he catches himself and lowers his voice. I just have no earthly idea how he could possibly believe that. How he could think, for even a fraction of a second, that he was in the right. Because no one challenged him. We've seen his wife. She looks really submissive. She keeps quiet to herself and doesn't speak up for herself. Or for anyone. No one's challenged him. There's your answer. God, it makes me want to scream. A brief silent moment. I studied my lap. Artemis stares out the window. If it were any other situation, I promise I wouldn't have stopped you. No, you did the right thing. His voice is so emotionless that I almost don't believe him. It's just that the right thing to do was so distasteful. Distasteful. I squirm in my chair. I know I'm a pushover, and I always have been, but not what I meant. There was no real anger in his voice, but it cuts just the same. And if anyone understands that, it's me. His eyes glaze over, his brows furrowing into a grim mask. I used to let people walk all over me. I practically begged them to do it. To the point where it felt normal and natural. I was so upside down that kindness felt strange. Freedom felt wrong. And if either were ever offered to me, I wouldn't trust it. I never seemed to learn. It would happen over and over and fucking over again, until I couldn't even act surprised anymore. A mistake made repeatedly eventually becomes a choice. I remember he said much the same thing last night. I remember the twisting, twirling tendrils of smoke in the moonlit air. And when I think about those days, when my stupid-ass brain decides to randomly play back those memories... He doesn't finish his sentence. He doesn't need to. His face says it all. Is that... I take the plunge. Is that what happened this morning? Immediately, I see his walls go back up, his posture closing off, almost as if he had forgotten I was here and was suddenly remembering. I told you that was nothing. The sound of voices split the static space between us. I spin around in time to see Theo clumping down the stairs 2 at a time, the rest of the boys following closely behind him. Should keep his word, as long as... Theo's eyes land on us, and he frowns slightly. Are you two ready? Wear your coats and boots. Artemis rises immediately and wordlessly starts to suit up. Sorry, Theo. Chastised, I follow Artemis' lead. After a quick, awkward trip back down to the basement for our things, we rejoin the others in the living room. Theo takes a head count and starts going over basic plans. Okay, everyone have your phones? We all nod. I'm guessing we'll need shovels once we get there. I have 2 sitting outside. They're plastic, but the metal ones are all in the garage and we don't have time to dig them out. I have a metal one in my place. So do I. We could break off while you guys get a head start. Great. You two go fetch those. Stick together. You never know what could happen in weather like this. Meet us at 27 as soon as you can. I interject, to my own surprise. I could go with them too, just to make sure no one gets lost in the storm. I couldn't help myself. We had come so close to normalcy just now, I didn't want to leave our conversation on such a terse, abrupt note. Sure, Rofi, Ollie, and I will see you there. To my immense relief, Artemis doesn't argue. Theo nods once again and opens the door, ushering us into the bitterly blasting wind. We're gonna do this again! Wow! It feels colder than ever before. As I take the door from Theo to let everybody out, I see Ollie shiver and pull his coat tighter around himself. Hunter gives me a smile and a nod, taking the door in turn from me. We file out onto what we think is the covered sidewalk. The sheer volume of snow is almost unbelievable. Theo and Hunter's shoveling work from the previous day is basically unnoticeable. When I beheld it all 3 days ago, I felt wonder. Now I feel only fear and apprehension. The fierce wind whips the snow into uneven piles. Paths close to walls are the worst, with miniature hills heaped halfway up the sides of houses. Cars unfortunate enough to be left out on the street are almost completely hidden. Vague shapes in the expanse of white, punctuated by a side mirror or the reflection of an exposed headlight. Nobody will be driving anywhere for quite a while. Theo and Ollie grab the shovels laying right next to the porch, and Artemis, Hunter, and I split off from the group. A bit of an awkward silence follows as we trudge across the street. I'm this way. Hunter smiles at us, hooking a gloved thumb over his shoulder. I'm that way. Artemis says blandly, pointing at one of the oldest looking houses on the block. Hunter looks at the two of us, eyes darting back and forth, clearly realizing how close we stand together. Well, my house is kind of a pain to get into and is also a mess, so, I'm good on my own. I smile at him, a silent thank you for reading the room. Alright. Okay, cool. I'll just be a few minutes. We'll wait for you. Great! Hunter turns and trudges off down the snowy street. So this is awkward. So, I can't count how many uncomfortable silences I've had to break so far today, and the sun hasn't even risen. You live here, huh? Real close to Theo's. That must be convenient. It is. I examine the house as we approach. The building seems to be holding up alright in the storm, despite clearly being ancient. He produces a worn key and jiggles the lock at least 4 times. Face largely expressionless. This impromptu locksmithing must be normal, I guess. Eventually, the battered doorknob clicks, and the bird forces it open. I'm curious to see the inside of Ari's apartment, but... Is the shovel inside? Artemis blinks at me. The shovel is in the garage. The main door is stuck shut, and the automated system is broken. I get in through the side door, which is currently locked. The key is upstairs, in my unit. You are... welcome to come up for a moment, if you want. His tone is complex. He seems hesitant, but nonchalant, but thoughtful, but also nervous. Sure, I'd love to. Too eager. Okay, watch the third step. It's a stiff breeze away from break-in. The bird turns and scurries up the stairs before I can reply. I take a deep breath to calm my churning insides. I'm a grown-up. I can survive awkward situations. Just be normal. I follow him up to his nest. Why say nest like that? Just because it's a bird? It's a bit racist, Leo. Artemis' apartment is small and very old. A combined kitchen and living room with only 2 doors leading off to a bathroom and bedroom, respectively. Controlled chaos is how I would describe it. Almost every available surface is occupied by things. The tiny kitchen is packed to the brim with pots, pans, cooking implements, spices, cans, and cookbooks, to name just a few. Neat but massive piles of mail, packages, magazines, and other assorted papers crowd the small wooden table in the living room. Where does he eat? The walls are packed with shelves, each in turn packed with records, tapes, CDs, games, a veritable library crammed into a nutshell. A record player, stereo system, and an ancient CRT TV take up the remaining floor space, with a rumpled beanbag chair plopped in the center. Thin, neat, stuffless pathways trail through the cramped space, leading into the kitchen area and the other two rooms. Curiously, I spot a number of scented candles tucked away throughout the space. A large orange one sits on the kitchen counter. It's lit with the only source of light inside the dark apartment. I sneak in a few quick sniffs, trying to identify the scent. Pumpkin spice. Artemis is a basic-ass white bitch. Surprisingly basic. Yeah. There's another vague scent hiding just underneath it, but I can't quite make it out. Hold up, did you light that just now? Now of all times? I suppose there's no electricity, but... A slight but noticeable crash echoes from the bedroom, followed by a quick but vicious curse. I step over to the doorway, not wanting to barge in too freely. It's fine, you can come in. You've already seen what a mess the place is, so whatever. So this is his room! Okay, let's see what we got here. I know that's is that a Sleep Token reference? I'm gonna look that up. Okay, yes, that is a Sleep Token reference. Okay, so canonically Artemis listens to Sleep Token. Cool! I walk in just as he finishes lighting another candle. His bedroom is a little less packed than the rest of the unit, but not by much. My eye is immediately drawn to the electric and bass guitar standing against the wall. Well used, but well taken care of. I'd love to hear him play sometime. Now's definitely not the time to ask. Artemis is busy picking the room apart, presumably looking for the garage key. This is a pretty nice space. Small, but still pretty nice. He shrugs, rifling through a drawer full of clothes. It's not much, but it's mine. Well, technically and legally, it's not mine. I rent. I was gonna ask, you just have this upstairs space? What about the first floor? Empty right now, but yeah, my landlord splits the house into 2 units. I nod. That's pretty common around here. You've certainly made use of the space. The bird spreads his claws, gesturing around the room. As you can very clearly see, I have a lot of stuff, and not too many places to put it. Ollie calls it playing Tetris. Whenever I buy some new furniture or piece of art or something, he always asks if I'm playing Tetris again. I can see why. I like to shop. Sue me. Not that you get any money if you did. Sorry, I know I'm taking forever, but I have no idea where this key is. I stand awkwardly just inside the doorway, wanting to help but hesitate to start rifling through his bedroom. So, yeah, this place is dirt cheap. The water pressure sucks ass and the electrical wiring is older than my grandma, but I can afford the rent. Past a certain point, that's literally the only thing that matters. And, of course, the garage door does not work, famously, which is why I'm getting old and gray looking for this fucking key. His tone is encouraging. Sure, he hasn't cracked a smile yet, and the stress of the morning still lingers on his face, but a bit of the Artemis I know is starting to shine through. I can help a look if you don't mind me touching your stuff. Please. I'm convinced it's somewhere obvious, and I'm just too used to this place to see it. Fresh eyes would probably help. I jump in and begin the search. Maybe now is the time to ask. So, you play guitar? No, those are just for show. Yeah, I do. Bass, too. I'm happy to hear the playful sarcasm in his voice, even if it's directed at me. I'm not the worst. Sometimes they even sound good. When we have more time, My phone buzzes in that specific way that makes my stomach drop. A call. It's Hunter. Shit, of course it is. And we're still fucking around up here. I answer. Hey, what's up? Hey, so, did you two leave without me? I'm out front of Ari's place. No. Artemis calls from across the room. We're still looking for something. You can go on ahead and we'll catch up. Alright, I'll see you there. He hangs up. All at once, the tension reasserts itself. I redouble my search efforts, face burning. We've just been up here shooting the shit in the middle of a crisis. My fault, of course. I've been so focused on Artemis that... You know what? I looked up from a pile of clothes to see him staring at me from the doorway. I bet you $10 million is still in the lock. That I left it in the lock the last time I opened it. Which is exactly some stupid shit I would do. As quickly as it came, that playful sarcasm is gone. Replaced once more by jagged self-deprecation. Come on, I know it's still there, I just know it. He takes off like a shot. Artemis, wait, the candles! I scramble to the lit candle on the dresser, jump it over the minefield of discarded objects, and blow out the flame. I head out to the candle in the kitchen and do the same. As its fragrant remnants twirl up to the pockmarked ceiling, I suddenly realize what that underlying scent was. Cigarette smoke. Seems a bit obvious in hindsight. These candles did a pretty good job of masking the smell. This is probably the first time I've entered a smoker's house and not immediately noticed it. Hey Leo, weren't you in the middle of something? I hurry back down the rickety stairs, berating myself for being so slow. And just as I reach the small beat-up garage, he bursts out the side door, face like thunder, metal shovel clenched in his talons. Come on, let's move. I've wasted too much time already. It's fine, you didn't know. Yeah, and that was precisely the problem. We've kept them waiting long enough. He brushes past me. I set dead ahead. I'm left with no choice but to follow. Artemis tears across the snow like a miniature plow, seemingly unbothered by the wind's cold gripping fingers. And this is where we're going to leave off for today. So Artemis does not want to talk about what happened this morning, which was insane. I know that he can't brush it off forever, so they're probably going to have to talk about that later tonight. You know, after they rescue Diana, of course. But until then, thank you all so much for clicking on this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, and subscribe if you're really interested. I'll leave a link to the visual novel in the description below, as well as the team's Blue Sky, which will support them over there, and I'll also leave a link to my Blue Sky if you want to support me there as well. And as always, I'll be leaving a link to the visual novel me and my good friend Zed the Red Panda made for the February Game Jam back in 2025 called When You're Mine. Please do show your support to it. If you do enjoy it, maybe consider rating it and comment on it on itchio. We love reading those, it makes our day. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!